Hey guys, how you doing? This is Tiffany H. Lewis with Be the Change on Clear Source Radio, iHeartRadio, Spotify, and all those other fun channels. I really hope that you're doing well. And thank you so much for tuning in. For those of you who have gone over to the Clear Source Radio page and actually clicked on the link and got the free app and downloaded it so that you can listen with me live tonight, thank you so much. I sincerely appreciate it from the bottom of my heart. I really, really would not even be able to do this without y'all's support and the support of Clear Source Radio and all of my favorite hosts as well, like Melanie and Ronald Reeder and everybody like that. You guys rock. So, all right. It's going to seem... Okay, let me rephrase that. I'm going to be talking about several subjects this evening. And the first one you're going to notice if you haven't already noticed it by now. We're already 1 minute in and you can hear that I'm kind of calm, but I am really vibrating on a high frequency level. Oh, and okay, those of you that don't know, I have a tortoise. He's 5, almost 6. His name is Cash. That weird... I wonder how loud that is. Anyway, that weird noise that you hear in the background, he's got a foot thing. So he's literally a 5-pound tortoise walking around messing with my feet. And I'm like, get off my feet. But that's Cash. That's what he does. And also on that same note, which has no relevance to anything whatsoever, but you cannot sex a tortoise for 7 years. Well, he's 5 going on 6, and I always knew he was a boy, but unfortunately for me, I kind of Googled how to determine if it's a boy or a girl. Oh, God. I really regret that, and I don't do regret. I wish I'd never seen that. So, I'm going to leave that one up to your imagination. Google it if you want. I don't ever want to see that again. Alright, so that's Cash making noise. Other noises you're probably going to notice in the background. Electronics do not like to work around me. Call me whatever you want for that. Disbelieve if you don't want to believe. It makes no difference to me whatsoever. If your electronic device, no matter where you are located, and you are listening to me talking to you, if it starts acting weird or funny, or you hear a weird noise that sometimes sounds like a conversation, first off, I'm going to check the sound real quick, please. And you guys know I always play Binaural Beats. So today's Binaural Beat is about a 963 hertz, and this is miracle tones, and it's activating your pineal gland, which is third eye opening. I'm not going to go too far into that because miracle tones and 963 hertz is pretty extreme for those of you who have ever done any research on binaural beats or frequencies or wavelengths. Anyway, full circle back again. It's going to seem like I'm going in a few different directions, but I promise I always bring it back full circle. So yes, I am going to address specific things. Yes, you are going to hear a turtle walking around. A tortoise walking around, touching my feet, which I can't stand, and you really hear me going like, oh, get off my foot. Other than that, you're going to hear noises that maybe only you hear, but I heard them too. Things like to fly across my house, specifically. Oh man, like seriously, specifically, every single time I am recording. It's like it knows. And things go flying. If you hear a loud crash or a loud bang or whatever, do not worry, because I'm not worried. It happens all the time. And every time I walk in the room to see what it is, yeah, nothing there. And that's fine. This is part 3 of 3. I've been working with you guys for now, as of today, 3 weeks. This is part 3 of 3 of your awakening process. And I know that I have not covered much, but at least on some level, I have covered so many things so many times that you're beginning to awaken by me literally using repetition. Some might call it hypnosis or some kind of a trance because I'm using binaural beats, but that's not true. Those binaural beats are just helping me remain calm. Okay, I was just making sure I wasn't talking over it. Anyway, so yeah, the binaural beats are something that I play that's relaxing. It's like deep, steady, focused binaural beats. It's not harmful for you. And a lot of people sort of resonate with this frequency or that frequency. There's even, if you get on YouTube, a number, which I want to say it's 440, but I've seen it at least 3 different ways, and it's called the God frequency. Now, the God frequency is not what you think the God frequency is. It doesn't mean like God is literally connecting with you because you're playing this sound. It's more like this. Man invented words. True words can only be heard through sound. That means man created language, right? English language, every language, any language. And then went on, and we all have to use this communication in whichever language, even if it's English or any other language, it doesn't matter. Man made language. True language is sound. So if I am sitting here telling you that I am playing binaural beats that are going to help you study, focus, concentrate, and if you wanted to look it up, just go on YouTube and type in God beats or whatever. I'm not playing that one right now, and I don't really know how they term that, but there is a very specific frequency that's called the God healing beat, and it's very similar to the chakra beat. And I know that you can barely hear it in the background, but that's the beautiful thing about it. So, for instance, synchronicities is a huge thing when I talk about the awakening process. It is, and so is repetition. So by me repeating the same behavior over and over and over and over again, 15 to 28 times, and you doing so also, what's going to happen is that your subconscious is now going to be consciously aware that you have subconsciously done something 15 to 28 times, and then you're going to be consciously aware that you do that by default. You're probably going like, what does she mean? What are you talking about, Tiffany? It's like this. When you're in the womb, at 3rd trimester of pregnancy, you're in the womb. You're in your mother's womb. And then from that point on, all the way until you're 7 years old, everything that you do, learn, see, speak, every single thing, that's why kids, we call like their minds little sponges. They grab everything. Okay, so with that example in mind, let's just pretend that for the first 7 years of your life, and I don't know why it doesn't happen in the 1st or 2nd trimester of pregnancy. I just know that it happens at the 3rd. And that's probably because at the 3rd trimester in a pregnancy is where you start gaining kind of a pound a week, and you're getting ready to exit your mother's body and come into the earth. So you're going to spend the next 7 years learning a bunch of stuff, right? And you're watching, and your creativity is allowed to flow. And if you have great parents or even good parents, they're going to allow you to express your creativity either artistically, or maybe you like to sing, or whatever your thing is. It's okay. But then you have to understand our minds are little sponges. Everyone says children are resilient. And by the way, you're gonna catch me doing this a lot. I love breaking words apart. And the part of me that does this is because while I was in nursing school, and at the same time I was working in the ER, you have to learn multiple levels of A, breaking words apart, and B, referring to Latin and breaking words apart in Latin, because most of all medical terminology is really spoken truly using a word that's Latin. So, for instance, pre-eclampsia, right? Pre means before, okay? Oh gosh, this one's hard. Depression. Depression is all of these symptoms that they can't put a better word around because you feel A, B, C, D, E, F, and G. Now I'm going to take the word depression, and I'm going to tell you that ION at the end of depression is the condition of having it itself. Then I'm going to take those 3 letters out, and I'm going to break it down like this. Depressed equals what? That's right. Deep rest. So I'm taking the knowledge that I learned in college to get through medical school and learn how to break words apart using, beginnings and ending of words in Latin that explain basically every single medical condition available. Depending on how it's pronounced and what it is, it can be pre, it can be pro, such as proactive, it could be something that is the essence of being it. It can be it. So it could be strep throat. That's it. Strep throat. Strep, well, that's sort of something that people catch. It's very contagious, whatever. But I kind of want to just touch on this just a little bit longer before I move on. As far as having the condition of, then you're probably going to be diagnosed with a word that ends in itis, hepatitis. You have the condition of. And while that may not make sense, let's just leave it there for a second. We'll come back to it, maybe or maybe not. It doesn't matter. Anything with itis on the end just means that you literally have the condition of that thing. Hep, E, and then titus. Okay. So as part of your spiritual awakening, you have to learn how to break down words from a completely different aspect. And for me, it was super helpful already. I felt like I kind of already had one leg in and one leg out because I had extensively gone to nursing school and medical school, and I felt like I had a little bit of a leg up because I already knew how to break down words in Latin that could explain just by looking at any single medical term, phrase, terminology. With the first couple of letters and the last couple of letters, I can tell you what it is based on nothing more than just breaking those letters and the word apart into 3 sections or 2 sections to either say that you are pre this, you're about to have this, or maybe you're undergoing a weakened immune system. Okay? Or maybe you have an ongoing condition, or maybe you have the condition of. So, all right, moving past medical terminology and how Latin and medical terminology together helped me to awaken, because this is your awakening. I am here to awaken you, and it's very important when I say repetition is one of the biggest pieces, if not the biggest part, for certain. One of the last few steps that you have to undergo, and just for the record, in case I haven't been clear about what an awakening is, this is a spiritual awakening. This is like that God frequency. It's like a level in which you vibrate on your frequency. Everybody vibrates on a frequency because a frequency is a wavelength, and wavelength is like a whale underwater making a sound, or even a dog whistle that humans aren't supposed to be able to hear, correct? So all that taken into consideration and about a million other things, to awakening, you could be about to be awakening. If I still have your attention, you're awakening. Now when I say the word awakened, it means you have already awakened, but you have done a lot of research. And here's the thing about that. You know what? I feel comfortable saying this one on the air because I can't really say it anywhere else. Have you noticed in the last few days that literal historical events that happened in life, which, by the way, if you hear any weird noises before I finish getting this portion of the show out, or it doesn't play at all, or you can't hear me, don't be surprised, because I won't be surprised. Things and people can interfere with my frequency, and maybe you won't even hear my literal words. What I'm saying is, two people look at the same painting and see two different things. Well, language is a lot like that. And when you are vibrating on a higher or a lower frequency, or, I'm not going to say positive or negative, it's just high or low. And you've got to let go of a whole bunch of stuff, and you continue to grow. It's a never-ending growing process. There is your awakening experience. It's called a process because it never ends. Every single day that you learn more about who you are, where you come from, what the truth is, why is the truth being withheld from us, why is it also hiding in plain sight. The word why is sort of, some might say that that's my favorite word. It's not my favorite word, but I question everything. And when you start to question things, you start to learn things. Well, we used to be able to. This really just sucks. As of a few days ago, particular platforms, to include specifically off the top of my head to my knowledge, because I really don't do social media, but I am completely aware of the fact that Facebook and, more importantly, YouTube are shutting down, and I don't just mean shutting down, I mean eliminating them. Even to the point where you probably are going to call me a conspiracy theorist for saying what I'm about to say. Even to the point where the people are just dying out of nowhere for no reason. And it's blamed on this or it's blamed on that. And I'm not touching that one tonight, but I am saying, in the United States of America, we have this thing called the Constitution. The First Amendment of the Constitution, it goes into great detail about freedom of speech. So that means, or so you think, that means I can just walk around and say whatever I want. And this is a big problem for celebrities, because as in the same Constitution, there's press, there's freedom of press, there's freedom of speech, and then there's also this, public shaming of people who are like, get the camera out of my face, I'm just trying to go to the grocery store. And then sometimes those turn into violent events, and it doesn't matter how you term it, they're all in the Constitution. So sometimes they go against each other. 1 and 4 might go against each other. Freedom of speech versus you have the right to remain silent. That doesn't mean you have to. You'd be smart to, though. Also, in this direction in which we are moving towards right now, here in 2019, what's happening in the world right this very minute, and it's actually been happening from the research I was able to do before they started deleting every single channel and video that talked about literally anything at all whatsoever, that talked about not necessarily just a few historical events. I mean, history is gone off of YouTube. So, hypothetically, and this isn't even, all right, literally, sorry, I switched it up on you there, because this is not a hypothetical. In this exact example, this is happening. Try to get on YouTube and type in everything you want to know about World War I. I'm not going to repeat either of those words again. So, good luck with that. You're going to find video, if any exist at all. It's going to be somewhere between 2 and 6 years old. So, as I told you in the beginning of this show, this is the awakening process, and it's my job to awaken you. What am I awakening you to? I'm awakening you to a whole new life, a beautiful life of freedom in a world where everything is being taken from us. And I feel so super duper blessed and excited that I was able to retain the information by listening to it over and over and over again, repetition. And then it became a subconscious behavior. All right, switching back circles for just a minute on that 0 to 7 years, the first 7 years of your life. A lot of people feel a strong affinity towards the number 7. They think it's lucky and stuff, and it's got so many meanings. It's beautiful. One second. So during that time, you are only allowed to subconsciously kind of ingest or inhale information. You might speak, obviously, before the age of 7, and you might not. But what is different between then and now is that you absorb every single thing around you at all times with no blockages, assuming that you're not living in an abusive house. And even if you are, it doesn't matter, because you're still, that becomes your default setting in life for the rest of your life until you learn how to awaken and overcome it, which basically is let go of all that doubt, let go of all the negativity, let go of people who don't help you feel happy. If you're not happy around a person, you're going to eventually start to notice you can feel their energy. Energy goes on and on. It doesn't begin, it doesn't end. Numbers are the same thing. I mean, there's a whole word called finite or infinite, Buzz Lightyear, to infinity and beyond. Well, because there is a beyond. There is no actual last number, and there is no limit to energy. Now, in order to manifest things in life, you must have energy. Where do you get energy? Well, I could think of 100 ways you could get energy. Maybe you like to go for a run and it gives you the energy to get on with your day. Maybe you have a smoothie or make some kind of a shake in one of those, oh gosh, I know I sound stupid, but I don't know what the thing's called. It's the bullet. Yeah, the NutriBullet. So maybe you have one of those, and maybe that makes you feel good, and it doesn't matter. Everything that makes you feel good outside of social media or any other addictive personality or behavior or anything that falls within any of those lines, that is you naturally raising your vibration, versus social media addiction, where you hit a button so that people will like it, share it, post it, whatever, and then you get a like, bam, dopamine hit. Bam, endorphins rise. And people have become so competitive, right down to children. And I just told you that everything that we intake from the third trimester, or however far we make it in the womb, until we are 7 years old, we are taking it all in. Why do you think we're so curious and ask the question, why do 3-year-olds walk around like, why? You're like, oh my God, honey, I don't know why the sky is blue. Because it's blue. Why? Anybody who has kids, you can relate with me for just a second right now. Mommy, why does that taste like that? I don't know. Why does it taste like that? What does it taste like? I don't know. Why? Why don't you know? What? Okay. Or mommy, why can't I have sugar? Why can all my other friends have sugar and they're acting strange and crazy and have all this energy, and how come you won't let me have any sugar or meat or whatever the situation may be? Because, honey, that's not healthy for you. And you know that. Somewhere deep in our instincts, we know what's good for us and what's bad for us. And we also know that everything that we intake, people used to call it, you are what you eat. And what they mean by that expression alone, it's almost a metaphor. It doesn't literally mean you are what you eat. It means if you use a NutriBullet every day and you bought organic food from the grocery store, such as fruits and vegetables, that you're going to add milk to it, or some people use water and probably definitely ice cubes because it just tastes better cold. Or, for instance, maybe use the green drink, which is matcha tea on top of whatever, apples, carrots, anything organic, right? It could be regular, and that's fine. It can be organic, and that's fine. But there's a third option to that. What do you think that happens to the crops that are grown and brought to your grocery store? Did you grow them in your own backyard? No? Well, then how do you know you can trust them? And if you don't really know what you're ingesting, and you are what you eat, well, of course a rational person would say, well, dang, I really need to grow a garden. And it tastes better, and there's no pesticides on it. Carrots don't come with a label of ingredients, guys. Carrots are carrots are carrots, but they are harvested, and they are crops that are grown in other places and then brought to you and your local grocers and grocery stores, and you purchase them and you make these NutriBullet drinks or anything healthy out of them, even if you just eat vegetables or fruit. And everyone in the whole world tells you you need to drink 6 to 8 glasses of water a day, you must eat all these healthy portions of etc., etc., etc. Do not overgo, I think it's 2,500 calories a day for those people that count. Listen, guys, all that is not real. It's not like you're literally what you eat. It's like if you're going to go to the store and you're going to buy a carrot, there's a really good chance that before you put that carrot in your NutriBullet to make a green shake with matcha tea on top of it, just to turn it the color green, but it actually tastes like apples and carrots because that's what you put in it. Okay. You're talking now about things that were injected into these vegetables. Why do you think children are becoming rapidly more and more fast every day? So a 10-year-old looks 16. Why is that? Growth hormones. Hormones are injected in a lot of stuff. And okay, I did kind of go off on a sidebar there for a minute, but that's just something that you need to be aware of, because the awakening process, it is you being aware. The point is you wake up, almost literally. So basically, you've lived your life this whole time, however you have lived it. Now, what you don't understand is that your thoughts become your energy, and then that gets sent out into the universe, and whatever that is literally manifests. Then when you perceive it based on where your subconscious is, whether it be from 0 to 7 years old, and those are kind of your default setting in your mind's programming, or maybe you've awakened a little bit more to, well, kind of questioning everything, and maybe this is wrong. It doesn't matter. You've got to get it into your conscious first of all, and you can only do that through repetition. I tell people all the time to play binaural beats in your sleep. It's like learning a language in your sleep. So all that said, we're sponges. We dive right into everything up to age 7. I don't know why age 7, but we're a sponge and we absorb everything. And like I just said, that literally becomes your default setting. So let's just say you're walking across the street as an example. You're walking and you just kind of space out for a second. Well, then a thought pops into your mind. And here's some random stats for you. We use thought 95% of our day, all the time, every day. We are able to ingest 40 million pieces of information in less than 1 second. People are taught that we only use 10% of our brain. With that being said, what if I told you an awakening process was going to allow you to expand your consciousness to not only be aware of your subconscious, but to change it to literally manifest anything you want. And I mean anything. Because the mind is so much more powerful than you even have a clue of. Think about it. Let's just use a really simple example. 1 second. Say you see a car and you're like, "Ooh, I gotta have that car. I want one of those," right? Now, every time you see that car, it's obviously going to start showing up more, no matter how rare it is, okay? Even if it's like an Aston Martin or whatever. Whatever you want is almost like you're wishing it. So if you allow that thought of you wanting it to be released into the universe just by thinking it, you literally just released it into the universe. Now you're going to start seeing that car everywhere. Same color, same everything. At some point, if you allow yourself to think about it long enough, it's going to manifest for you. But you have to be careful how you do it, because you have to use, we're humans, we have 5 senses, and 5 senses that you're aware of. We actually have more, but point is, you want that red car, and then all of a sudden it starts showing up everywhere. Same theory as I've got this song in my head, and then all of a sudden I'm hearing it every day for 2 weeks. Like, was that a sign or something? But no, you manifested it. Your brain is a superpower. It's an extremely highly developed level of intelligence. So much so that they literally go out of their way to try to convince us that we only use 10% of our brain. With that theory in mind, even if we used only 10% of our brain, and I just told you that you spend 95% of every single minute of every single day having the ability and the fact that you also are retaining 40 million pieces of information in less than a second. So let's pretend you've got a minute. 95% of that minute, you have a thought. You're just walking along, and then you just have a thought. All of a sudden, you sort of space out. Well, whether you know it or not, you also, in that 1 minute, 60 times over, just retained 40 million pieces of information times 6. Sounds crazy, but it's cool. Okay, so whatever we learned at age 7, those are our default settings. The only way to do that is to awaken or break free. Your mind is sort of like a prison, and the reason that I will compare it to a prison is because we live in a world, no matter which country or city or state you live in, we live in a world that is controlled by some entity or person or, dictatorship or something. It doesn't matter. I'm not going to get into any of those words because that would literally lower my vibration. So I'm not going to do that. But we live in a world where there are rules. How about that? If you do this, this will happen. If you don't do that, this will happen. Consequence, fear, right? Hope. All those things, those are actually preventing you from setting your mind free. Right down to what you watch on TV. If you turn on the news and you watch something, whether you feel a certain way about it or not, if you pay close enough attention to what you do over the next few days, you're going to find yourself, unfortunately, on a subconscious level, you're not consciously aware that you're doing it until you are able to learn how to control a thought and let it go. But until you can figure that out, which I will gladly help you through, your thought, so you watch a news program and maybe you thought something, maybe you thought nothing, maybe you were cooking dinner and you were not even paying attention, but the fact that the news or whatever came on, whether you could barely hear it or not, paying attention or not, you don't even have to be looking at the TV. The point is the TV has a lot of energy and it has even more radiation. And your cell phone does the same thing. All these things already cause cancer, guys. Cell phones and TVs are, oh man, whatever. So it gets in your subconscious, and if you pay attention, just practice this one time. Like literally put on a song or a show, anything you want, and just kind of sit there without thinking about anything or think about everything. It doesn't matter either way. What's going to happen is that information is going to get programmed into your subconscious, because I just told you that your subconscious digests 40 million pieces of information in less than 1 second, and we spend 95% of our day thinking. So what's going to happen over those next few days, like I'm telling you, this is why I want you to do it as an example. This is why I said tonight's sort of an interactive show, because this is an instant manifestation of what you just did. So commercial comes on and it says this. The song gets stuck in your head, and then you start hearing the song on the radio. You see that car and you want one, and then all of a sudden you start seeing that car everywhere. As a human, you think you only have 5 senses, and now you got to wonder, like, well, what would it feel like to be in that car? Or, what would it smell like to be in that car? Is it leather? What you're doing then is you're creating a new collection of not just thoughts, but conscious thoughts that you're putting out there to the universe. So when it does produce, and it does literally manifest, and I know that I would need an entire 3 shows just to explain the law of attraction to you guys. So today we're going to focus on repetition and the things that happen. Okay, so that's one example of that side of the law of attraction. You can manifest anything. What you think, what you perceive is literally your own reality, number one. If you are not able to perceive the information, and I just told you that whether you are able to perceive it consciously or not, you're still, every time you get on social media, whether you're doing it on purpose or not, you are still getting 40 million hits of information a second. Come on and tell me that Facebook actually has 40 million things that it can even offer you in 1 second. So, yeah, I guess I'm going to debunk that, because when we're talking about social media addiction, and that's pretty much anyone who spends more than, 10 minutes online a day, yeah, put your phone down for a while. One of these days you might be able to feel the radiation coming off that phone, and you probably won't be so eager to touch it again. But back to what I said just a second ago, and as I explained in the very beginning of this show, I will be bouncing around a little bit. I'm sorry if that's causing anxiety or anything like that in you. It's just that the awakening process, I have to quite literally bombard you with information, because every single thing that I say, 40 million thoughts are going to happen in less than 1 second. You spend 95% of your day thinking. How many of those thoughts are going to get stuck in your head and become part of your subconscious? And the point about that, watching the commercial and try this thing, even just listening to this show right now, mark my words, over the next several days, if you're listening to this show right now, over the next 3 days or so, you're going to find yourself using very specific words that I have used by repetition without even realizing it. So I challenge you to consciously be aware of the fact that there are a few words in this show that I have already said multiple times, and I'm going to continue saying multiple times. One of those words is repetition, perception, reality, subconscious, conscious, commercial, song, car, read. Do you see what I'm doing there? Okay, so while that may mean nothing to you right this second, give it a day or two. If you're paying enough attention, and this is a very conscious move, you have to be consciously aware that I'm challenging you to do this, so that you're actually paying attention in the moment and not reverting to what you learned in the first 7 years of your life that have become your default settings in your brain's programming. You want to create a new program? Repetition is the key. Law of attraction is the key. So let's just imagine over the next few days you use any one of those 40 words that I literally just said. You don't need to tell me what those words are, but watch. You're going to, if you do this correctly, and you can agree to spend the next few days consciously being aware of your own thoughts and what you think and what you say, and then come back and listen to this show, when those words match up, you got it. You're there. You can set your mind free. Anybody who thinks that things are ingrained in us forever are not being truthful. 1 sec. Your mind is so powerful. It's sort of like a superhero power, and I am not even exaggerating on this one. Your mind is capable of believing anything, doing anything, by thinking anything, releasing that thought out into the universe, and either getting that exact thing that you want, or if you're unaware of how this programming works, you're going to literally get the exact opposite of what you want. So let's say somebody says something that offends you and upsets you. Well, they just lowered your vibration to a negative level. And I think that a lot of people have a lot of different ways that they say this. So they could say, don't stoop to their level. That's a really important word. And they're seriously saying level. It's right there. I say this every day. The truth is always hiding in plain sight. When I say level, you can level up and you can level down. So just by saying the word down, I just leveled down. Now I'm going to go back to being a positive person right now, and I'm not going to let anything that anyone says to me offend me, upset me. And furthermore, I'm not even going to put myself on social media or look at it. I'm literally sitting on, honestly, seriously, on a good day, I'm literally sitting on about 70,000 notifications a day that I won't check. I will not check them. I will not expose myself to that. I don't want to get on social media. I don't need an endorphin or a dopamine hit. There are so many other ways to do things. And if you could take my advice and realize that the worst that's going to happen is that, like I said, you're going to be just walking down the street or whatever, a thought is going to come into your mind. You're going to use 95% of your brain on that one little thought. Why would you do that? I can set you free. It goes like this. Person walking has a thought. Or let's use social media. Person on social media sees something and then they think something. Now, the base of what you think, why you're thinking it, and why that triggered you into thinking it is because of your default setting programming from 0 to age 7. So if you're brought up in a world where, like, let's say, single mom and she's an artist and whatever, I don't know. There are so many bajillion possibilities. I don't really know how to explain what your default settings are, but they are a culmination and a combination of every literal thing that you took in for the first 7 years of your life. Everything. You didn't have to say a word. So when you think and you're walking and you kind of space out and a thought comes into your head, it just kind of pops in, you're naturally going to go to your default setting. And through enough hard work, understanding, and education on this topic, which again, I will help you. I literally created a new YouTube channel just like a few days ago, and I know that all these channels are getting shut down for talking about this stuff, and I know the risk. And I know I have to be extremely vague. And yeah, it really bothers me that I have to do that because I just want to be like, this is how it is. Wake up. It's right there. But no, they're shutting down all the YouTube channels. I'm going to swing another circle on you here in a minute, but I want to go back to that just for a second because I don't think that I did a very efficient job of actually making myself very clear on that thing. You want to train your brain through repetition. Anybody can learn a habit. All you literally have to do is do it 15 to 28 times. So train yourself to learn a new habit. You want to write with your left hand? Try that. Try anything. Try any one thing that you've never done. Don't have any thoughts about it. And just do it 15 to 28 times. It will then become ingrained in your subconsciousness. And this is where your left side of your brain and your right side of the brain kind of come together. And not just that, but in the front of your forehead, there's a pineal gland there. A pineal gland, that's your third eye opening. And I'm not going to get into all that right now, but if you put your left side of your brain together and your right side of the brain together, conscious versus subconscious, and you are now consciously aware that subconsciously your default setting every time you see the color blue is you think of the sky. Well, that's because you were raised to believe that. What if I said it was purple? What if you just wanted to challenge yourself? Everything you know, everything you do is a literal manifestation of what you are, what you want, what you seek, what you desire. I mean, if you know that you're going to come home and fight with the wife or husband or whatever, you're dreading it. So you literally just manifested it. Of course it's going to happen. Versus walking in the house knowing, hubby or wife might be a little bit upset about something and outsmarting the system and stopping to get chocolate on the way home and the fight, it's over. It's really that simple. But okay, so I feel like I did a good job expressing clearly how to ingrain something into your subconscious, which then changes your default setting. So if you want to learn how to write with your left hand, and I keep saying left on purpose, so in the next few days when you hear yourself saying the word left, I want you to remember this conversation. I just planted it in your subconscious. Hopefully, you're going to be aware of your thoughts for the next few days, and watch how many of these words that I've repeated since the second I began this show all the way to the very end. Watch your thoughts. So to watch your thoughts is sort of, you're going to take a step back. You have a thought. You're just walking around doing your thing, doing life, and you have a thought. Now, what if I said to you, if you don't allow yourself to have the thought or dwell on the thought and just kind of let it go? Imagine windshield wipers, right? Not the kind where they both kind of come into the center and go off in two different directions. Sorry, I didn't mean to hit the mic. Sorry. If you are aware of the fact that you are having a thought, there's a thought, right? And then you're like, wow, I'm having a thought. And then you go, all right, cool. I'm having a thought. And you just push it away. It's gone. Just get it out of there. Don't think about doing it. Just do it. I'm standing right here. Somebody said the word blue. I equate blue with the sky. Rather than going there, cool. You said the word blue. Bye. Let it go. Let it go. This is where your left side brain comes in. Eventually, through enough practice and enough concentration and literally creating an environment where you become consciously aware not only of the fact that you and you alone are not just in control of your future, your present situation and manifestation of everything you want. And not only that, you can have every single thing without limit that you want. Why? Because your brain is super intelligence. Not intelligent, intelligence. It is a master computer, and the world that we live in has programmed us to do this or that. Do that, and that'll happen. So here I come back full circle again. In the beginning of the show, I brought up institutions. I placed a word there, and then I totally, what seemed like, steered off in another direction, and that was done on purpose. So when you start saying the word circle over the next 3 days, if you catch yourself saying any literal word that I've said in this show more than a handful of times tonight, then you can become consciously aware of how to control your mind and just accept that it's a thought and let it go. You don't dwell on it. You don't even say words like don't or dwell on it. Because if you want to be positive all the time, you need to raise your frequency and your vibration. My advice to you, check out my YouTube channel once it's up and running. It's going to get shut down really, really quickly. Even though I'm being super duper careful with my words. And now you see how I just said the word super again? I bet you say that in the next 3 days. But you got to be consciously aware of the fact that you're doing it. And by consciously aware of the fact that you're doing it just means that you are paying attention, not to what I'm saying, but little words I've placed here and there and there and there and there. You're going to catch yourself saying several of those words in the next few days, whether you realize it or not. And then if you do realize it, you're going to be like, oh my gosh, she was right. That's awesome. And that's going to raise your frequency and your vibration. So, again, I said I would be moving around, but I promise to come full circle in every single key point tonight. I'm already running out of time. So let's go this way. 1 second. Sorry, guys. All right. So, literally, the first thing you need to do, no matter who you are or what you want out of life, and no matter what you think of me or this show or anything else, I don't need to prove it to you. You need to prove to yourself that you are a prisoner of your own mind. Why? Well, because before age 7, all the way leading up to age 7, every single thing that you learned and watched and realized and picked up on Now you know that is your default setting, and everybody knows what a default setting is. It's where you're walking down the street and you have a thought, and then your default setting like tells you to space out. Well, that probably came from you blocking out a literal thing that happened. Yeah, the thought seems random, but when you pay attention in a step back, looking kind of through into your head, okay, head, we're having a thought, and then swish it away, get it out of your head. Only then can you begin to perceive things on a conscious level and change your literal subconscious to what you want it to be. Don't you want to have the life that you want to have? Don't you want the things that you want? Literally everything. Literally, it's in your brain. You are your own worst enemy. If you can learn how to set your brain free and stop being held captive and prisoner in your own mind, and stop believing this belief system that says you only use 10% of your brain. Stop saying that, because then you really are only going to use 10% of your brain. And even then, that's a pretty astronomical number of percent of your brain. If I just told you 95% of the day you're having a thought or thoughts. On top of that, every single 1 second of your life is incoming traffic. 40 million things every single second of every single day, all day, every day. So, all right, that's all I'm going to school you on, conscious, subconscious. And as I always say, yes, I am going to bombard you with a bunch of information that's not going to seem to make sense until it does. The reason being, well, I only have 1 hour with you. Technically, I only have really, truthfully, 50 something minutes with you. I have so much I want to tell you. I have to tell you things. This is the only way you can awaken. You can only awaken by learning everything about the truth. The truth is your mind and your subconscious beliefs, because of 0 to age 7, have created this program in your brain known as, aka, the subconscious. Your default settings always lead back to the subconscious. So when something happens, whether you're aware of it or not, which is obviously what subconsciously means, you're not even aware of it, remember, think about it and remember for a second, where is this coming from? Why does that remind me of this? And then let it go. Just think about it, watch it, observe it for a second. And if you practice this habit every single day, you will get better at it and anything else that you practice every single day. 15 to 28 times. Don't believe me? Want to put me to the test? Take your left hand, pick up a pencil, and write a word. And then do it 15 to 28 times, and then do it with your eyes closed. Now do that every day for 3 or 4 days. And in the same 3 or 4 days, remember, you're going to be using some of these words I have repeatedly said throughout this entire show. And that right there is sufficient proof to at least want to know more. You're at the very least, going to understand how powerful your brain is, and how if you can just control your thoughts, you can literally manifest by your thoughts and thoughts alone a perfect world. Because see, your thoughts, you manifest whatever via your thoughts. I know I keep repeating myself, and I'm doing it on purpose. I need you to hear me on this. Whatever you think will manifest. If you think about a song, it is going to come on the radio. Y'all know this. I don't have to prove it scientifically. You don't have to believe me. Now, I need to go full circle. Remember that when you say sometime in the next few days, when you actually say the words full circle, I want you to listen back at this and laugh, because you just did it. It's going to happen, I promise. All right, back full circle. Let's get back to the beginning and bring this up and wrap it around and finish it off. All right, so YouTube and Facebook are 2 of the major platforms. I'm quite sure the other ones are doing it too, but those are the only 2 that I kind of don't even really bother with, but YouTube was a very educational outlet for me. I learned a lot. I learned how to awaken and become a higher spiritually connected person. That's what awakening is. You have a spiritual awakening where you become in control of your thoughts and aware of the fact that your thoughts manifest into a creation of how you perceive reality, and then somehow become consciously aware of that, and you get whatever you want, and then you keep doing it. You just outsmarted your own brain. Programs are installed in us because why else would there be institutions such as school or prison? And when I said your mind is a prison, it's like birdcage. You can take that literally, like the movie or the Netflix show. It doesn't matter how you take it. Just think about a birdcage. Your mind, when you believe that you only use 10% of your brain being the key word here, not mind. Do you see what I just did there? If you only use 10% of your brain, and your mind is creative and it's conscious and it's also subconscious. Nobody said those 40 million hits a minute, a second, go into your brain. I never said that. You might think I said that. And that's a whole other topic called the Mandela effect, which we'll get into potentially next time. But never anywhere in this show did I say that your brain processes 40 million hits of all kinds of information and retains it every 1 second of your life. I also said that we spend 95% of the day actually having thoughts. I didn't say brain, I didn't say mind, I didn't say conscious, I didn't say subconscious. I said thought. So a thought's a thought. Alright guys, I hope I've overwhelmed you with information. I don't like leaving things hanging like this. All I can say is I'm doing a YouTube channel. It's going to get banned or shut down because I want to wake you up and I want to help you through your journey. And this is a spiritual awakening. This is you being the best version of yourself possible. Do not mistake what I'm saying for some crazy conspiracy theory. No, I want you to vibrate on a higher level. I want you to be happy. I want you to be positive. And I literally want to teach you exactly how to literally, physically get every single thing you want out of life just by thinking about it. Stay tuned on this show with me. Check out the new YouTube channel. I will post it on my page. My Facebook page is like facebook.com, 4, Tiffany Lewis. I think that's what it is. Or just type in Tiffany H. Lewis. Whichever way you want to go about it, guys. Then you're going to see a list of groups and stuff that I own. That's it. I hate this. I'm sorry I'm out of time. I don't like being rushed, but, okay. Yes, I know I bombarded you. I can't wait to hear your comments. If you say anything that I said in tonight's show that I literally, in a Houdini style kind of way, as, supposedly as you believe it to be right now, I want to hear it if you say anything that I said several times. Circle back around, full round, subconscious, conscious, mind, thought, anything that I've said, please feel free to drop me a comment and just kind of laugh at the fact that I told you, and then, okay, be happy with it. Guess what? You just raised your vibration. Welcome to my world. Okay, guys, I am out of time. I'm sorry. This sucks. I love you. I have to go. I will see you again. I'm pretty sure I'm going to be doing Decoding the Unknown. It's going to be at 8 o'clock p.m. Central Standard Time on Clear Source Radio. And if you go to their page, you already know the drill. Download the app, all that cool stuff. Anyway, guys, have a good night. Practice what I just taught you. When you catch yourself hearing or saying or thinking any of those words, you got this. You're there. Come back to the show, listen, and be like, that was really cool. That's it. I gotta go. Good night. I love you. Bye-bye.
Are you ready to be inspired? Are you ready to make positive changes in your life? Tune in to Be the Change live every Tuesday at 7 p.m. Central Standard Time, featuring our heartwarming radio host, Tiffany Lewis. She's an empath, an indigo,